told me that I should have been doing this, Miss Grace Rumsey. All right, we're going to go live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to a Taste of Theater radio show. Tonight is going to be a special show because the one and only Cameo Jared is in the building. Say hello, Cameo.
Hello, everybody.
All right, and of course, sitting next to him is the one and only Grace Rumsey.
Oh, hello, everybody.
All right, so we're going to be talking about a lot of things coming up here this evening, plus talking about some of the things that happened over the past weekend. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up with some beautiful gospel music here. This one is Jacqueline Carr, and then this song is called Stay With Me. I know, right? But turn this one down, or you can unplug them now because we don't need them.
It's not working from here. So you'll be able to share it?
It's on YouTube, yes, live on YouTube, baby. Thanks to Grace Rumsey. There we go. So now I can see both of you perfectly from there.
I think the last time I was here, we were talking about the film I was promoting.
Exactly.
Now
And guess what? You still can't talk about it. Come on, I just need you to get into the mic.
You film?
here, I'm an actress and a film producer.
She's being extremely modest.
We're gonna break that.
Yes, exactly. I'm trying to get her to talk more about her accolades. Not only is she a film star, she's got a film on Netflix. She's produced a bunch of films in Zambia.
It was on the south side of Africa.
Yeah.
Came out of TV, the station.
You wrote it, produced it.
No. It was just happening. Oh. Yeah, and then there was another one that I did with Malawi Americans. We shot in Malawi. And came up with the Malaysian. And yes, now
See, as I keep hanging out with you young folks, I start learning things. I've never heard of this lady before you.
I love her. She's like my best one. I love her. This song is actually in my other show.
Really?
Yeah, the one I did the second year. This is the end of that show.
Oh, because last one with Terry, they're married.
So Don't Cry For Me is actually a film script.
Really?
Yes, because it's a lot of backstory that would have to be told to get like the full picture on what's going on. When I looked at the script like the other day, I said, oh, that makes sense. I originally wrote it thinking it was going to be like a series film, and I'm like, the way I can bring it to stage, I feel like how did I do that? Because it's originally a film script.
Who knew?
And then the second one I did, that's actually a stage script.
And thank you guys for joining in. Over there. Well, Grace, what's one of your favorite gospel songs?
Right now,
Yes, right now.
it's the one by Naomi. Yeah.
Naomi.
Right.
Okay, let me keep her up. Oh, Raine. See, I'm learning. I would never look for her. This reminds me of South African gospel. This is short.
I'm sorry. Perform two. Full shows written. I'm working on one. I have to finish the script. It's called 90%. It's basically
Usually what are you use? Do you have a specific?
usually I do like Christian spiritual routes. Based on the things that we go through there. So the one right now is a piece from my Christmas show I did, the church that I took and added to this, and so we have similar I've never been on there.
Okay. You dance?
Yeah, I'm a dancer too.
Coach, he's an all-around guy. And see, now you're bridging the transatlantic by now connecting with someone from Africa.
We'll be good.
Sing me something.
That's something you sing too? Oh, it's gonna be nice.
No, like.
Good ideas. I love Christian. We got one name, only name.
Oh, WIIT 88.9. The difference between the old gospel and this gospel here is this is much simpler. It doesn't do a whole lot of key jumping. It stays in the same kind of chord progression. Ready? Sounds like they're starting to wind down a little bit. All right, we are back. And that right there was Naomi Rain featuring Dante. And that song was called The Blood. So let's talk to the people who have in the studio this evening. Mr. Cameo Jared, who came to a Taste of Theater Festival in 2017? 2017 with a play called Don't Cry for Me. And this play is important because out of all the years we've done it, there's never been a play that's ever received a standing ovation. Had people in the aisles, with tears in their eyes. Tell us about your play, man.
So I wrote a play called Don't Cry For Me. Actually, it's a short film. The script is actually a film, but I adapted it to stage, and it follows two characters, a young girl, teenage girl, and a young teenage guy, and their paths cross each other because of one mutual person, and that is the father. The father is a pastor, and he had a son earlier in life that he lost contact with because of his ex-wife and things that she stopped him from doing and stopped him from seeing his son. He ended up remarrying later in life, and he had a stepdaughter, and the son and the daughter are the same age. They cross paths because they're the same age. They go to the same school, and basically, long story short, he finds out that his father has actually been in his life longer than he realizes, and the way he finds out about it is he's actually his mentor, but he never told him like, I'm your father. So when he finds out, he's very upset about it. And then the daughter finds out that her stepfather had a son that they never knew about. She gets pregnant by this guy, and they never knew about it. So they come to the house. He goes to the house to confront his father, finds out that the young lady that he impregnated, because now he's under the influence. Let's keep that in mind, that he's a drug head because his mom raised him around drugs. So they come to the house and all the secrets come out. We find out that the wife finds out that her husband had a kid that he never told her about. The daughter finds out that this guy that she slept with is actually the descendant of her stepfather. So it's a bunch of secrets that come out, and it was just a really, really, really big drama, spiritual drama. But the ending message was basically, it doesn't matter like what you go through, what you have gone through. God is still in the midst of it. You know, there's things about drugs and in mental health. It's a lot that goes on with it, but God is still in the midst of it. Even though turmoil happens and the devil comes in to try to steal, kill, and destroy the family, God is still in the midst of it, and He still can shed light even in a dark place within the family.
Yes, and you're giving away almost all the secrets of the play. We want people to come see it again.
There's some surprises when we do it again. You would definitely be surprised.
That is true, because I happened to go to Ohio with you when you did the full play.
Yes, sir. I did the full play in Ohio. Not even the full play. It was just still pieces that I didn't give away, which is why I said there's still some surprises left. But just being transparent, did that in Ohio. That was shortly after I lost my mom. That was like a month or so after her funeral. So the place mental space I was in at that time wasn't all the way there. So I feel like I didn't execute it as well. But yes, I still went forth because I knew my mom would have wanted me to do that. And it was still a good show. It really
Yes, it was still a good show. It's still a very good show. And then you came back in 2019 and did your next play.
Mm-hmm. I did a show in 2019 called God Gave Me One More Chance. And that was a different style of my writing, because I don't know where that story came from, but hey, when God gives you a vision and the pen starts flowing, I just let it flow.
Wow. Now, I quote this play very frequently, Terry, don't marry. So go ahead and tell them about Terry and also this particular play, because it was, again, outstanding.
This play, God Gave Me One More Chance, follows a young woman who recently lost her father, and she's being raised by her mother, and she has a brother away at the military. After losing her father, she kind of loses her way. She kind of gives up on God, doesn't want to deal with family, anything like that. And the source of happiness that she does get comes from a guy that she's seen. And he treats her like a queen, gives her the world, everything that she could ever ask for, and also kind of replaces the love of her father, only to find out that he deceives her. He changes on her, and he starts basically pimping her out because he's a much older man. And his name is Terry, and she wanted him to marry her. And his famous pickup line was, Terry, don't marry. So she ends up, finding out his true colors, and she regrets everything. She regrets, going off on her mom and giving up on God. And in that dark moment, in that very crucial, bad situation that she's in, she has no choice but to turn to God. And that kind of hits home for me, because like I said, losing my mom, I kind of gave up on God. I stopped going to church, and the very person I was ran away from was the very person that I needed in my life. So that's similar to her. Her name is Renee. the very person that she's running away from is God. She needs him more than ever in the moment where she's in this bad situation.
Wow. It was such a powerful play. And you also touch on trafficking as well, because sometimes that right there is ignored. But the way you touched on it was very well done. So I want to commend you for that.
Thank you.
And what was the inspiration behind these two very different plays?
So Don't Cry For Me, I actually wrote it, I was at work, and I just kind of went with my gut, and I just kind of blacked out. I'm not gonna lie to you, when I wrote Don't Cry For Me, I just kind of blacked out. I was at work, and I was just like kind of just putting little thoughts together, the backstory, because like I said, Don't Cry For Me is a film. So I just started writing little things down, and the pieces started coming together. I can't even tell you where that story came from, but God gave me one more chance. I saw just a movie, I forget the name of it, and it didn't have a similar story, but it kind of gave me an idea on something like an adaptation of it. And I remember talking to my mom about it, and I said, I have this idea, and I was giving her the rundown on it, and she was like, that sounds like something you should probably write down. And human trafficking was big around that time, giving up on God, and just different things that I had already been feeling. She said, write it down, just write it down. So it was just inner thoughts, basically, that I was already dealing with. I wrote it down, and I channeled those thoughts and turned it into a story. Wow.
It was a very, very good story. Now, Grace, I know that happens over there too. So tell me, what happens what is it like with some of the stories about human trafficking over in Africa? Is it as big a topic as it is here?
Human trafficking, a lot of the stories that haven't been centered around that. Most of the topics that are centered in a lot of African setups have early child marriage, because that is something that's very common, and also a lot of domestic violence. Those two topics are very critical in Africa.
Wow, so this means I think you two need to partner and write a film or a play on those topics, because I think you can bridge the gap between the American troubles and things that happen here happening over in Africa. And then, of course, I'm just dropping things all over the place, but nonetheless, Grace, you've done a lot of film. One of the films that I saw was on Netflix. Tell people about that film, because it also deals with some of those things you just talked about.
Yeah, Can You See Us? Can You See Us is a story that is inspired by a musician actually who's based in Zambia, and he's what you would call here an albino. And in Africa, albinos are it is shunned upon, and there is a lot of discrimination around the people that have that skin disorder. And there are a lot of myths around albinism, such as ritual. So there's a lot of ritual killings that happen, a lot of violent behavior and attacks on people with albinism that happen. So with Can You See Us particularly, this story was centered around the discrimination that this man faced and how he triumphed through all of that and still managed to come out victorious and still managed to follow his dream despite all the challenges and disparities that he faced in his life and upbringing.
Wow. And you did such a magnificent job in that.
Thank you so much.
I hopefully you'll tune into that tonight.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna go home and watch it.
And also, that particular film, as you mentioned, talks about albinism, but it also, in one of the scenes, they were willing to commit they used a machete on the kid.
Yeah.
So it talks about the violence
Yes.
against children.
Yeah, and which is also very different approach from the one that I did, which was the one that I was promoting here the last time I came, which is called Miss Norma, which is also the same similar story, but from Malawi, because I'm from Zambia. And in Malawi, all the way through to Tanzania, there were a lot of ritual killings that were happening, and where people with albinism's body parts were being sold with the idea, there was this ideology that you could gain wealth through ritual activities using their body parts. And that's what misnomer was centered on.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm speechless on that one.
Yeah. It was quite a shocker when I heard that was happening in other parts of Africa as well. I'm not too sure how that has been handled till date now. I do know even years ago, before Lupita Nyong'o became a huge success now that she is now, she had actually done a documentary on the same, on the
Really?
killings, which is on YouTube.
I have to look for it.
Yeah.
Wow. I grew up with someone who had the disease, or I'm not
Skin
disease, skin disorder.
Yeah.
They were just regular people to us.
And that's the thing, but in Africa, maybe it's because a majority of our melanated skin color and the difference in skin tone, I don't understand why there's just so much discrimination around it. But the great part about all of this was after the film came out, we've had a lot of triumphs for the albinism community.
That is awesome.
Where a lot of pageantries have been taking place. They're being given more visibility and opportunities to speak now and be more involved in society and not have the same discrimination that has been there.
Wow, that is something. I keep telling you, you two are going to have to partner and write a short play or a short film. Because you started out with Don't Cry For Me as a short film, and she's in the film.
But yeah, we're definitely gonna have to connect.
Yeah, and also with your talent, Cameo, you are extremely talented, so talented that I wanted you to come on board with the Taste of Theater Festival this coming fall. So he's going to showcase his play at the beginning of the festival, so people get an understanding of how the festival will go. So which play are you going to showcase at the beginning?
So in the beginning of the festival, I'm actually gonna bring Don't Cry For Me back. And the funny thing about it, my cast actually brought it up, and they're like, "We want to do Don't Cry For Me again." And then I talked to you, so I'm like, it's just confirmation, and got some new things I'm adding to it, some things I'm taking away, so it'll essentially be almost like a new script, but it'll be the same show, and it'll be things that you've seen with some new things that you haven't seen. So I'm excited to actually start putting it together, and the prayers that my original cast is back on board, so it'll be like a reunion for everybody.
Wow, that's going to be, exciting. And I really hope that you bring back the lady who did the dancing at the end.
Oh yeah, that's actually my cousin, and I actually spoke to her yesterday, and she said absolutely. So she's on board to come back and reprise her role as the Holy Spirit in the end of the show.
Look at God. Well, a Taste of Theater Festival is going to happen at ETA Creative Arts Theater, which is at 7558 South Chicago Avenue on October the 10th and the 11th. And Cameo is going to open up both nights.
That's pressure, but hey, yeah, we're gonna do it, and it's gonna be awesome. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm excited to be back with a Taste of Theater and to just see what happens at the festival.
And if we get lucky, Grace will probably be back.
She might be on stage.
Yeah, we're hoping she's going to be on stage. Because you're such an amazing actress. And today we were talking about film, like I've just started moving into that space. And I realized the more that I get into it, the more I don't know. And this woman here has been kind enough to start teaching me some of that. So, yes, you did. Now, you said something about but it's things that people need to know when you're talking about film, and it's all having to do with lighting, colors, and so forth. Can you explain how that conversation went today, and I can humbly admit I didn't know Jack. And thanks to her educating me. So tell us about that.
Okay, so the conversation was basically how every department is very critical in storytelling, from your wardrobe to the lighting to the color palettes to the tone and the look and feel of the film. And I was just giving references to stuff that we've had challenges with in Africa. Back at home, a lot of the projects that we've done, we struggle in that area when it comes to lighting. And lighting, sounds, scoring also has played a huge part in the disconnect between your audience and the story that you're telling. And I just understood the importance of having these elements, especially when you're starting your pre-production stage, how these elements are very, very critical and should not be overlooked. I know as filmmakers we have this desire to just create, and we're like, the more we go along, the more we're going to learn. However, I feel pausing a bit and just educating ourselves a bit more and understanding how color contributes to storytelling and the importance of conveying emotion through color. There is a way that that can be conveyed. For you to be able to feel cold and this disconnect in the, for example, we're in a forest, for example. It's snowing over there, the mood is set and the tone is blue. Automatically you do feel that when you're watching it. But if you have this bright light, it just doesn't have the same feeling, it's not conveying the same emotion. And
and if that person is, instead of wearing something,
there's a dark tone
yes,
to it, and they're in bright colors. What exactly are you?
Or if he's in red, it totally throws it off. And see, I'm learning. See.
You're teaching me something as someone who wants to maybe at one point transition from stage to film.
Exactly.
And even so, like I was saying, Don't Cry For Me is a film, and it's kind of a darker film, but it has the message of light towards the end, but it's essentially a dark film. So even I can understand that even with it being on stage, you kind of want to present that same feel. So you want the darker tones and the lighting to be more dim lit because essentially you're watching a stage, but you still want to feel that energy, that presence on what it is you're trying to convey. So it goes hand in hand, but you're definitely teaching me something even to convert to stage when I'm doing my shows. Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yes.
I wonder, do they do that as well in terms of when you light up the stage using the gel, like to gel the light down to create that mood and oh nice.
If you go to a Broadway show, definitely
full on.
Oh yeah, it's definitely done. But in most community theater, it's lights up, lights down, and no shadows or things of that nature. I mean, there might be a spotlight here or there, but not as much. But as you were talking, I was like, how did I not know this? Because when I watch Purple Rain, whenever Prince is in a happy moment, he's singing Let's Go Crazy. He's in a white outfit and everything is happy, but when he's in a bad space singing Darling Nikki, it's all black colors and computer blue. And then when he does Purple Rain at the end, and he's in white colors again. So I was like, wow, I didn't even think of it. And the lighting around him is completely white, and when he's singing Purple Rain. So thanks for bringing that information up. And so that brings us to what is next for Cameo?
Well, I've been in prayer about that, and one thing I will say is 2025 is the year that I spoke it into existence. I said I was coming out of hiatus, I took a break from theater, I took a break from writing, acting, and this is the year that I said I was coming out of hiatus. I've taken headshots, I started writing, I've taken the pen out, I just started reaching out to different individuals and trying to get more knowledge in theater and even in film. As far as my own personal endeavors, I want to I want to put on a full show, and when I say a full show, I mean like my full 2-act play. And it's been too long. So what's next for me is I'm doing a full show, and CLJ Productions will be official.
All right.
I will have my LLC for CLJ Productions, and it will be 100% official and going live this year.
And if I can make a suggestion, I will see if you would be so kind to oblige. We'll see if we can get you at ETA Theater as well.
I am here for it, and if God's will and that's what God has for me, then I'm all for it. I'm saying yes.
All right. ETA Theater has been around since the 70s. It's in the Black community, or in the South Side in the community, and it's been a beacon for African Americans to get their plays done, to learn how to write plays. My co-host Brian Stanley, who's not here tonight, he got his start there, and I'm glad that they're open to having more festivals, and at least my festival there, because we just did a film showcase there, and I wish you could have been there, Grace.
Was that with the one that was on the first?
1st of March,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And the winner of that film showcase actually dealt with, it was a film about bullying. It was called Consequences. It was a great topic, and Mr. Leon from, I should call him Mr. David Ruffin himself, he enjoyed the film, but the one that I thought should have won was called Pictures Only by Charles Honeywood, who was in my film class. Outstanding film, shot perfectly, the lighting was right, the tones were right, all that stuff was done. He even shot it on a red camera. But it was the topic that moved everyone's heart about bullying, and what are the consequences? Because we all have kids, we don't want to see them, being beaten up at school and robbed at school and all that kind of stuff. So it was a great, great topic, and she's actually doing that full play at the Beverly Arts Center this coming July. So hopefully, if Grace is still here, she'll come with us.
Hopefully.
And this past Saturday, you guys missed it, but there was a film called Phoenix Rising. Tarania Rice. Brian and I attended her play. I'm sorry. I keep saying play. Short film. Yes, short film. That was showcased. It was a good film. And then the week before, I attended Javelle Wagner's play, and it was amazing. So we don't just talk about theater here. We also go support, and we actually pay for our tickets. We don't ask for a free ticket. So that's why I was asking you what's next, because I want to make sure our audience pays to see your next show.
Yes, sir.
And who knows, maybe we can get Grace while she's here to act in a few of those.
Oh, wow. That's intimidating.
I hope she's in it sober. I might be abusing.
I think, see, your other actors are going to have to elevate their game with Grace.
Please do not put that pressure
Oh,
on
yeah.
me.
I've already told my cast, like, hey, so I'm bringing some new people, so hey, you want your spot, you gotta earn it this year, because I'm not giving handouts this year.
Yeah, Grace is, she gives you 110% on the screen and on the stage. So, I watched another film that you did, short film. It was about the woman who had the issue with the baby.
The multiple miscarriages.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you went to
Mindset.
a bunch of different emotions in that one. I
Yeah.
was so proud of you.
Thank you. It was quite hard, that one. I think learning the art of storytelling, and especially with upcoming filmmakers, and because we shot this film on a zero budget, and this is because we were trying to set up Mindset Change Creations back at home, which is a film company it's a company that we basically use film to tell stories on the different topics on mental health issues.
Mhm.
And some of these topics, we try to focus on topics that are not really spoken of. And one of these was the multiple miscarriages. In Africa, there's this thing of where you constantly don't console the individual on what their process is like, how are they healing, how are they doing now. It's always, oh, so when are you trying for your next child? And it's very, like the families, not everybody is very understanding and not everybody is very compassionate, you know, and even as a couple, partners are not very understanding to their needs and wants from their partner, not understanding where the partner is coming from and how the partner is still dealing with this loss, tremendous loss. And the loss is not just losing a child, it's also why am I failing to conceive to full term, you know. So with that, we felt it was very important, and a lot of people that we shared it with at different organizations came forward, a lot of women came forward saying, this has been my story, and I'm so glad that you're sharing this with our community now, so we can start opening up and having these conversations. Yeah.
Well, you know what I'm hearing? I think Cameo is probably hearing this story and thinking, there's a play in that, there's another story he can add to that, and just put an American spin on it.
Yeah, my wheels are definitely turning.
I can see it in his eyes are just spinning as you were talking. I just thought, he's like, oh yeah, that's something we can talk about here.
She is right though. There's a lot of issues and things that people go through that aren't necessarily talked about. And one thing that I want to highlight in Don't Cry For Me, especially this year, is the mental health aspect. Because with the two characters that the play is centered around, they battle mentally because not giving away the story, which I did earlier. The lead male, you know, he's under the influence, you know, that's all he knows.
Yeah.
Now he has to deal with the fact that he just found out that the man that he thought left him, he actually knows and has been in his life. So that's a mental battle in itself versus the other character who, you know, she has family drama, you know, she's 17 and pregnant and finding out all these things about her own family. And she's like, I can't bring a child into this type of family. So it's a mental battle. And, you know, just being transparent, you know, since losing my mother, I battle mentally. You know, I go to therapy, and therapy is something that is not talked about, especially in the African American community. So I want to shed light on that more so this time around, you know, showing that it is a heavy topic in the African American community, and maybe it'll help someone be like, hey, maybe I can go forward and maybe I can get some help, because if it's being shown, if the director and the writer himself is being transparent about it, hey, maybe that'll influence me to go get some help.
Yes, and
especially for men, I do feel there's a lot of stigma around men's mental health, and this constant need, especially we start to indoctrinate our kids from a young age, constantly speaking on, you're a man, be strong, don't cry, boys don't cry, and you're drilling that into him. So there's this facade that men always have to be strong, even when they're breaking inside. And I just don't think vulnerability is a sign of weakness. I feel there is a lot of strength to it, and if someone can be open about their vulnerable side, there's a lot of strength in that. And that needs to be shown more.
that's probably why he called his play Don't Cry.
Yes, sir.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to ask, at least we ask of every guest that comes here, is there's going to be someone listening. It's a young boy or young girl. What advice would you give that next generation that's coming up behind you so they can one day sit in the seats of a Cameo Jared or Grace Rumsey? What advice would you pass on?
One, be true to yourself, and don't limit yourself. No matter the circumstances, the situations, no matter what anyone has ever told you, or if you feel like you've never had the support that you wanted or needed, you have to first give it to yourself. You have to first believe in yourself, Because if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't love yourself, and if you're not confident in yourself, you won't be able to do anything. Because at the end of the day, all you have is you and God. At the end of the day, at the end of when things are all said and done, it's you and God. So take that and nurture yourself while it's just you and God, just you. Focus on you.
Wow. So what would Grace say to the next generation?
What I would say is, I feel it's always important when you're starting out on any journey or any pursuit that you have, be it your career, and you're just starting out. Always write down your why. Why is this so important for you to start, and what your purpose is, and why you want to do this? Because as you go along in life, there's so many obstacles, especially in also the creative space and the challenges that we have to excel in the creative space. It's very competitive and it's very challenging, and there are a lot of bumps and turns and hurdles that you will come across, a lot of stumbling blocks, where you sort of lose foresight of your direction and your purpose, and then you want this need to now just appeal to whatever is on the market. It could be just whatever is going with the flow at that particular moment, and you sort of now start moving with the wind, and that will sort of derail you from your reason and purpose. And I feel it's so important sometimes to write these things down, because when you discourage low and down, and you start to run back and read through some of these things, it reminds you of that passion and drive that you had when you initially started, and that will get you back on the right track.
Wow, that is great advice. So I'm going to give you both some homework now. And let's see if you guys are able to quietly complete it. I want you to both ask someone who you are extremely close to, what have you mastered? Ask them, what do you think I have mastered? And I love to hear the responses, because when people talk about their purpose in life, sometimes people are like, I don't know what my purpose is. But ask your friends, because sometimes you can't see it, but other people can see what they believe you have mastered. So my challenge to both of you is to ask your closest friend, what do you think I have mastered? So I'm going to get an answer from both of you soon, right?
Yes,
sir.
All right. Next question. What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? What is the one thing you would do, or things you would do if you knew you couldn't fail at it?
things. I
That's
don't know what things I would do, but I know my approach to life, I would really approach it with complacency. I would be very relaxed about things, because I already know what I'm going to achieve. I wouldn't have the same drive that I do now. That's it.
Okay. Well, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail at it?
what a perfect world that would be. It would, like Grace was saying, life would just be, I'm not even gonna say it would be easier. It would just be no effort, because whatever you want to do, you can do, and it would be no limits at that point, you know.
Okay.
And the sky would be the limit, you know. Whatever you want to do, you could do, and
All right.
even in itself, that would be in a perfect world. But you know,
Great.
Another thing, I don't think I would have the relationship with God that I have now.
Really?
Yeah, because I wouldn't see a need for Him.
that part.
Wow. Wow. See, I never thought of that. But maybe, you know what? But that's probably a play or a movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, whenever I ask that question, I always tell people what my answer would be. First, I would buy Disney if I knew I couldn't fail at it. Second would be BET. Third would be Motown. And the last piece would be Soul Train, because I'd love to see Soul Train in Africa.
Oh, wow.
I'd love to see all of those things in the motherland, because for us growing up, that was was a thing we always looked to every Saturday morning. We had to make sure we got our chores done so we could be in front of the TV at 11 o'clock when Soul Train came on. And you learn the coolest dances, you see the artists and so forth that were putting out music. And that has been lost. And I'd love to see that come back in Africa.
I think it's still there because Africa is just constantly evolving, especially when it comes to dance.
That's true, but they don't have Soul Train.
No, no, we don't. But we have our own dance and our own style,
Oh, yes.
which is constantly evolving, and everybody wants to see what the new moves are, what's the new thing of the market, what's the new dance, and what's the new song that's trending, so we can come up with routines and dance to it.
Yeah, and I have to admit, I love the dances. And thank God for social media because I can see them. So, who inspires Cameo Jared, past or present?
Well, if we're speaking like in the theater world,
No, just in
Or
general.
just in general?
Doesn't matter. Who inspires Cameo Jared?
well, he's probably he's probably watching. I'm very, very fond of a good friend of mine. His name is RJ, and he spreads positivity. You know, he's a recording artist, and I look at him like an older brother. You know, he's like a mentor to me. He's just a few years older than me, but I look up to him a lot, and just his backstory. I'd have to introduce you to him one day, but his backstory is just amazing. How he was doing his 9 to 5, and he wanted to pursue music, and he lost his job, and he said he was going to pursue music, and he didn't let anything stop him, and he just went for it, and now he has a theme song for on TV, and he's made music. His music is in grocery stores, and now he's in acting. You know, he's been in commercials, and he always tells me, he's like, I need you to get it together. I'm not going to keep telling you. So he pushes me. So I really look up to him, and he's like somebody I really, really admire.
Great.
It will be a bit weird, but my aunt who I was named after, and it's also Grace,
No way.
she inspires me. I think her story and just her drive and tenacity to never give up, and she's a very positive person. Not only that, she's also one person that has tried so hard to bring unity and closeness with us as a family. And growing up, I remember, we don't have that so much now, but when we were kids, my cousins and I were extremely close. They were more or less like siblings, and that was because of her. Christmas was always a big deal for her. Birthdays were always such a big deal for her, to make sure we celebrate that. And those are important for children, like as you grow up, having those memories. And yeah, and then also when it comes to career-wise, she attained success at a young age and then lost everything in her 40s to 50s. And she's now she's now in her 60s. And she's managed to rise up and come back on top. And that for me was very inspiring. Just her tenacity and drive to just not give up on life and just not give in, regardless of her age. And she's still pushing now.
Wow. Now, that right there is an inspiring story. What actors inspire you? Or directors inspire you?
So I was a big Tyler Perry fan, as everybody knows, and I'm gonna say the old Tyler Perry, because when he first started, you know, the messages that he had in his performances and in his movies and in his plays, that Tyler Perry is who inspires me. You know, as time evolves, you know, writing evolves as well, but I focus more on the older Tyler Perry because that's kind of where I got my inspiration from. But overall, just his backstory inspires me. You know, how he came about, and you know how he talks about his mom and his grandmother, and just him in general, you know, before, you know, time evolved with his writing, that's kind of how I look at it. I used to want to be just like him. You know, he was like a role model. Everyone calls me the next Tyler Perry. Like, so he is someone I am still very fond of, and but I focus more on the older things that he's done and the messages that he conveyed.
What about you, Grace?
I don't have one person.
That's
so
okay.
I'll just pick one for the sake of the.
No, you can do.
When it comes to, well, she's a director, but she's also a producer. Two actually.
Shonda Rhimes.
Yeah, Shonda Rhimes is one. I love her approach to the importance of telling stories of powerful women and being the focal point and center. That I've noticed has been her trend throughout, from the time of Grey's Anatomy to the leads, and it was always women-led stories, and these women were not just weak women or women that were supporting a man. It was just them, their drive, what it is that they're trying to pursue, their careers, juggling being a mother, juggling life, and just womanhood and all. That was her way of storytelling is just absolutely amazing. She's brilliant. And the other person would be Ava DuVernay. Her approach to storytelling and the type of stories and choices that she makes, those are the type of films that just move me to the core. I love everything she's done so far. She's has never been a fail for me.
Well, we always close out with the one that inspired me and started it out. And this one is Prince from the film Purple Rain. This song is called Father Song. That was amazing. Oh my gosh, you guys did amazing. Let me see if our next girl is here yet. She's not here.
Who?
The girl that's supposed to have her show at 9 o'clock, she's not here. So, 11.
So that we know.
Yeah, so that means while
We'll just need music.
yeah, I'm gonna put the automation back on, but the girl's supposed to be here.
No, it's not.
Who knew?
No, sure. Is your phone still running?
Yeah, we were live for a while and we're gonna close it out.